I politely asked my neighbor not to let his friends park in my driveway. That weekend, he hosted a party, and I came home to find my windshield shattered and a note that read, "Driveways don't come with attitude." When I knocked on his door, he smirked. "Should have moved while you had the chance." I turned to leave, but noticed my house key was missing. When I rushed inside, I found the back door open and I moved to Clarksville, Tennessee, about a year ago. After a rough divorce and getting laid off from my job in Atlanta, I wanted a reset. I bought a small one-story house with a quiet yard, a fenced back area, and just enough space for me. I'm not a guy who asks for much. I like peace, my privacy, and to be left alone. The street was quiet when I first moved in. Mostly older folks, a few younger families. No problems. I work from home now doing remote IT support, so I'm around the house most days. The driveway fits 2 cars end to end, maybe 3 if you don't mind getting blocked in. I keep my Toyota out front, and sometimes my brother parks behind me when he visits on weekends. About 3 months after I moved in, the house next door got rented out to a guy named Rick. Mid-20s, loud, always wearing tank tops even in the cold. Drove a lifted black Dodge Ram with that deep growl you can feel through the walls. First week he moved in, I saw beer cans all over his lawn. Didn't bother me. Live and let live. Then came the parking. The first time, I came home from the grocery store and found a beat-up Camaro parked in my driveway. I figured maybe they thought it was shared or weren't paying attention. I knocked next door. A girl with smudged eyeliner and a cigarette behind her ear opened the door. "Yeah?" she asked. "Hey, sorry to bother, but someone parked in my driveway?" She shouted back into the house. "Yo! Move your car! You're in the old guy's driveway." I'm 43. Not ancient. The car was gone in under 2 minutes. No one said anything else. No apology. Just laughing through the door as it closed. I brushed it off. Everyone messes up once. But then it happened again. And again. I found everything from muscle cars to motorcycles parked in my driveway on random days and nights. Once, I couldn't even get my car in after work because some guy in a Jeep had blocked the whole thing. I had to park on the street and walk up. That was the last straw. I knocked again, this time during the day. Rick answered. He was shirtless, wearing pajama pants, and clearly either high or still drunk from the night before. "What's up?" he said, rubbing one eye. "I've asked a couple times already. Can you and your friends not park in my driveway? I need that space." He looked at me like I just told him to turn off the sun. "It's just a driveway, man." "No, it's my driveway. It's private property." Rick smirked. "You gonna call the cops over a parking spot? I'm asking you not to let it happen again." He leaned against the doorframe. "You must be fun at parties." I turned and walked away. I figured being calm would solve more than losing my temper. That Friday, I left town. My sister lives in Nashville and had just had surgery. I went to help her out for a couple of days. I left early Friday morning and planned to be back by Sunday evening. Quiet weekend, nothing crazy. When I got back Sunday night around 10 p.m., I pulled into the driveway and stopped cold. My car was wrecked. The windshield was completely shattered, spiderweb cracks across the whole thing. Trash was dumped all over it, beer bottles, fast food bags, someone had even smeared mustard across the driver's side window. And right in the center of the windshield, taped with duct tape, was a note. It said, "Driveways don't come with attitude." I got out of the car slowly. I stared at the mess. My heart was pounding. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I just stood there, hands shaking, and looked at the damage. The glass crunched under my shoes when I stepped closer. Then I went straight to Rick's house. I pounded on the door. Hard. I wasn't in the mood for games. Rick opened it, sipping from a red Solo cup, wearing the same smug smile he had the last time. I held up the note. He glanced at it, then took another sip. Should have moved while you had the chance, he said, and closed the door in my face. That's when I realized something wasn't right. I reached into my pocket for my house keys. The car key was there. My P.O. box key was there. But my house key was gone. I ran across the lawn to my back door. It was open. Not wide open, but swinging just a bit, like someone had left in a hurry. I stormed inside. My living room was a mess. Couch cushions tossed. Drawers open. I ran into my bedroom. Clothes dumped out of the closet, my bedside table emptied, and worst of all, my small emergency safe was open and empty. I don't keep much in it, just about $400 cash, old documents, and my dad's watch. The watch was gone too. Kitchen liquor cabinet? Wiped out. Bottles missing, one shattered on the floor. I called the police right away. 2 officers showed up around 20 minutes later. Riley and Gutierrez. I told them everything. About Rick, the driveway, the threats, the missing key, the break-in. They took a look but weren't hopeful. No forced entry, Officer Riley said. And unless we find fingerprints or your key, it's gonna be hard to prove who did it. But someone took my key, I said. It didn't fall out of my pocket. It's not on the lawn. And my place was fine before the weekend. They nodded, but I could tell they'd heard stuff like this before. We'll file the report, but this might be tough to push without more evidence. They knocked on Rick's door. No answer. House was dark. I changed the locks that night. I didn't sleep. I installed cameras the next morning, 4 in total. 1 watching the front yard, 1 at the back door, and 2 along the sides of the house. I also put a motion-activated spotlight above the driveway. I filed the insurance claim. They'd cover part of the damage to the car, but not everything. Rick came outside the next day while I was installing the cameras. Bit much, isn't it? He said, grinning. I didn't answer. You know, he added, leaning on his truck, people around here don't like it when you act like you're better than them. I don't think I'm better than anyone, I said without looking at him. I just don't like being robbed. He just smiled again and walked inside. That was it. Something inside me snapped. I decided right then, I'm not letting this go. Not this time. They broke into my house. They took things that mattered to me. They made me feel unsafe in my own home. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to make Rick regret ever stepping foot in my driveway. I started small. Quiet moves. I wasn't going to let Rick see it coming. First, I talked to my other neighbors. I knocked on doors. I explained the break-in, the threats, and the trashing of my car. I showed them photos of the damage, the note on my windshield, the back door wide open. Most of them didn't know Rick well. Some had heard the late-night parties. A few were fed up with the loud music and beer bottles on their lawns. One older man down the street, Mr. Hanley, said Rick's friends had even peed on his rose bushes. I asked if anyone had security cameras. Turns out Mr. Hanley did. We checked the footage from that weekend. We caught a glimpse, just a blurry one, of 2 guys walking up my driveway late Friday night. One of them had something in his hand. Hard to tell, but it looked like a rock or maybe a wrench. Not perfect, but better than nothing. I printed the footage and attached it to a second police report. Still not enough for them to act, but it was building. I could feel it. Next step, hit Rick where it hurts. I knew from the noise and the stream of different trucks and sports cars that Rick was running something out of that house. Not drugs, not quite, but a kind of weekend party rental business. He'd throw big parties, charge at the door, even had a DJ set up and lights in the garage. He was making money. Problem is, the lease didn't allow subletting or events. I checked with the property records, found the owner, a retired Navy vet living 2 hours away, and called him. His name was Mr. Garrison. Real straight-laced guy. I told him everything. Calmly. Showed him the photos, the note, the police report, the footage. Told him about the parties, the cars, the damage to my property, and how Rick had laughed when I confronted him. Mr. Garrison wasn't happy. "I don't allow that kind of garbage in my house," he said. "Thank you for telling me. I'll handle it." 1 week later, Rick got a formal eviction notice taped to his door. That's when things exploded. That night, I woke up to yelling outside. I went to the window and saw Rick in the driveway, throwing beer bottles against the fence. One of his friends tried to calm him down, but Rick was screaming. "He thinks he can ruin my life just 'cause he's got a stick up his ass." I recorded the whole thing on my phone. Next morning, I gave it to the landlord and the police. The police still wouldn't press charges, but the landlord sent another notice: "Out by the end of the month or you're getting sued." That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. 2 nights later, I came home from a late grocery run and saw my backyard fence had been spray painted. Huge black letters: "Rat. Snitch. Dead man." I stared at it for a long time. Then I called a buddy of mine who works in private security. I told him everything. I asked for one thing. "I want proof Rick's the one doing this." He set me up with 2 hidden trail cams, one in a bush facing the driveway, one under the eaves pointing at the backyard. High res. Night vision. Motion activated. The very next weekend, we caught him. 1:47 a.m. Rick, drunk, shirtless, holding a spray can, walking across my lawn. He tagged the back of my fence again. This time it said, "You started this." Perfect angle. Clear face. Clear time. Clear proof. I went straight to the police. Again. This time, they had to take it seriously. The officer looked at the footage and nodded. "This is vandalism, harassment, trespassing. We can move on this." They issued a restraining order. Rick had to stay 100 feet away from my property. He was served the papers the next day. You should have seen his face when the officers showed up. I was standing on my porch when it happened. He looked at me. Not smug. Not laughing. Just hate in his eyes. But I wasn't done. That week, I filed a small claims case against him for the car damage, the stolen items, and emotional distress. Total value, $4,200. His eviction date came closer. His parties got smaller. People stopped showing up. His friends disappeared. One by one. He tried to fight the restraining order, but the judge denied it. He tried to lie in court about the break-in, but the footage and the timeline nailed him. That man was unraveling. One night I saw him sitting on the curb at 2 a.m., head in his hands, alone. I didn't feel bad. He broke into my home. He stole from me. He threatened me. Now, I was just getting started. 2 weeks before Rick's eviction date, something strange happened. I came home one night and noticed my trash can was missing. Not kicked over, gone. I figured maybe the city picked it up by mistake, or someone grabbed it during a cleanup. Annoying, but whatever. The next day, my mailbox was open. Mail scattered on the ground. A few envelopes were torn. A week later, I started getting weird texts. Blocked numbers. Stuff like, "You think you're safe? Watch your back. Snitches get cut." I reported it. The cops noted it in the file but couldn't trace the numbers. Then, my brother Nick came by to visit. Soon as he pulled into the driveway, I saw his face drop. He got out, looked around, then looked at me. "Someone sliced my back tire," he said. We checked. Clean slash, like a box cutter. Right down the sidewall. That was it. I called my buddy in security again. I told him to dig deeper. He found something I hadn't expected. Rick wasn't just throwing parties. He'd been running something bigger. His friends were local guys, some with records. A few had gang affiliations. Small time, but enough to cause real trouble. But that's not what hit hardest. My buddy found something else. Something personal. Rick had been recording me. Not just my house. Me. He had an old dash cam rigged in his window facing my driveway. At first I thought maybe he was trying to catch me doing something shady, but then I realized he was watching. Constantly. Day and night. My comings and goings. My guests. Even what time my lights went off at night. Creepy didn't even begin to describe it. That was stalking. I took all the footage my friend pulled and brought it to the police. This time, they acted fast. With the restraining order already in place, the stalking video was enough to press charges. They got a warrant and searched Rick's house. And that's when everything blew up. Inside, they found more than just spray cans and stolen liquor bottles. They found my dad's watch, hidden in a drawer. They found the rest of my emergency cash, what was left of it, anyway. They also found a small plastic bag with pills inside and several ID cards that didn't belong to Rick. Turns out, Rick wasn't just throwing parties. He was trading stolen goods, maybe even dealing small quantities of drugs. Just enough to get the attention of the county DA. They arrested him on the spot. Eviction became the least of his worries. But here's where the story twisted again, and I didn't see it coming. A few days after his arrest, I got a call from a woman named Terry. Said she was Rick's sister. She sounded tired. Worn down. Said she was trying to get Rick's affairs in order because no one else would. "I'm not calling to ask for favors," she said. "I just need to know if you're planning to press full charges. Because if you are, you should know something." I almost hung up. Then she said something that stopped me cold. "Rick's been on something heavy since last summer. Started after he got jumped at a bar in Knoxville. Head injury. He's not right anymore. He's not stable." She wasn't making excuses. She sounded like someone who'd already lost the brother she used to know. "I don't want to see him hurt anyone else," she said. "But I also know if this goes to trial, he's done. For good." I didn't say anything right away. I just let the silence stretch. Because for a moment, I didn't feel angry. I felt unsettled. What if Rick wasn't just cruel? What if something broke in him? But then I thought about the busted car. The stolen things. The way he laughed in my face. The threats. The fear. The sick feeling in my gut every time I heard a knock. He might have been broken. But that didn't excuse what he did to me. I told her, "I'm not dropping anything. He messed with the wrong man." And I meant it. But what came next, I didn't expect. One night, about a week later, I got home and found an envelope taped to my front door. No name. Just taped up, flapping in the breeze. Inside was a photo. It was me. Sleeping. Taken from outside my bedroom window. There was no note. No handwriting. Nothing else. Just that photo. Someone else was still watching me. And I had no idea who it was. I didn't sleep the night I found the photo. I sat in my living room with the lights off, holding a baseball bat, watching the windows. My security cameras hadn't picked up anything. Whoever left that photo knew how to dodge them. That was the part that got me the most. They were close enough to watch me sleep. They knew where the cameras were. They knew how to stay hidden. The cops added it to the report. I asked them if they thought Rick was behind it. "He's in county jail," they said. "No way he did it himself." That was worse. Because it meant someone else, someone connected to him, was still out there. Still messing with me. And I was done playing defense. I called my friend in security again. I asked for full surveillance, more cameras, trail cams across the yard, and a sensor light system around the house. I wanted alerts to my phone if anyone stepped within 20 feet of my property. We installed everything in one weekend. But that wasn't all I did. I also started digging into Rick's friends. Turns out, one of his closest guys, Troy, according to a few neighbors, had a long history of theft and vandalism charges. Nothing major, but enough to have a record. He had stayed quiet ever since Rick got arrested, but he still lived 2 blocks away, in his mom's garage. So I started watching him. Nothing illegal. Just driving past his place at different times. Noticed who came and went. Wrote down license plates. My buddy helped me run one of them, came back linked to a stolen car out of Jackson. I gave everything to the cops. That's when things started to turn fast. Turns out Troy had been breaking into houses. Not just mine. 2 other neighbors had similar stories. Small things missing, nothing huge, but creepy stuff. One guy said someone came in just to move things around, not steal. To mess with him. Police raided Troy's place. Found a stash of stuff, jewelry, electronics, wallets. And tucked in a plastic folder were photos. Photos of me. Of my house. Of my bedroom window. That was it. They arrested Troy on the spot. And once he was inside, he talked. Said Rick had planned it all. The break-in. The vandalism. The stalking. Even the fake texts. He admitted Rick had taken my house key from a party when I left my jacket on the back porch one night weeks earlier. He also said something else. Rick had made a bet with his friends. That he could drive me out. Said I looked like the quiet type who wouldn't fight back. That I'd fold and run, like his last neighbor. I didn't fold. Troy got charged with stalking, vandalism, and multiple counts of theft. Rick's case got bigger. Conspiracy, breaking and entering, harassment, intent to intimidate. The DA was stacking it all. My footage, the texts, the photo, the statements, it all added up. And the court didn't go easy on them. Rick was sentenced to 9 years. Troy got 4. But I wasn't finished yet. That was justice. I wanted revenge. I took Rick's mugshot and printed it out. I framed it and hung it inside my hallway closet, where I keep my coat and keys. Every time I go out, I see his face. I remember. But what I really did, the part that stays with me, I bought Rick's old house. When the landlord finally put it up for sale a few months after Rick's arrest, I jumped on it. Used my savings. Paid a little over market value. Just to have it. I tore it down. Had the whole place leveled to the ground. Then I built a quiet garden on the lot. Just grass, a few benches, some trees. Peaceful. I planted a row of sunflowers right where his bedroom window used to be. I put up a little wooden sign in the corner. It says, "Some people learn respect. Some get planted." It's not a threat. Just a fact. I got my peace back. But I didn't forget. And now, Rick never will either.